Hello. It has been, those of you that read live with me know it's been more than a week since I read last. Sorry about that. Life gets in the way sometimes. It's hard to get time to read. And I realized the last time I read, I completely skipped this chapter 20. For those of you that are joining me in the future, this will be in the playlist in order and you won't even know you missed 20. But I'm going back to catch 20, which is a fairly short read, and that may be all I read today. Like, it's a really short, I'm going to sneeze. Those of you that have been reading with me know it goes on. Oh, but that was a short one, so that was good. So this is chapter 20, A Plea. And having read the book myself, I didn't notice anything was amiss when I was reading 21, but I left off the whole honeymoon, an important part not to leave off. So in my book, it's page 186, and it's chapter 20, book 2, chapter 20, A Plea. Let's read. When the newly married pair came home, the first person who appeared to offer us congratulations was Sidney Carton. Now remember, Sidney was in love with Lucy, but he just didn't think he was good enough for her. They had not been at home many hours when he presented himself. He was not improved in habits or in looks or in manner. He's a little disheveled, a little alcoholic, just, never looking sharp. So he hasn't changed, is what it's saying. They had not been, when he presented himself, but there was a certain rugged air of fidelity, loyalty about him, which was new to the observation of Charles Darnay. He watched his opportunity of taking Darnay aside into a window and of speaking to him when no one overheard. "Mr. Darnay," said Carton, "I wish we might be friends." "We are already friends, I hope." That's Darnay's response to him. So Darnay's a good guy. Remember, he was the Frenchman that said to the Marquis, his uncle, "I don't want anything to do with our heritage. I think what the French nobility has done is unacceptable. I'm making my own way, my own life." And now he's married to Lucy. "You are good enough to say so as a fashion of speech, but I don't mean any fashion of speech. Indeed, when I say I wish we might be friends, I scarcely mean quite that either." Charles Darnay, as was natural, asked him in all good humor and good fellowship, what did he mean? "Upon my life," said Carton, smiling, "I find it easier to comprehend in my own mind than to convey to yours." Do you ever have that problem? You have an idea in your mind that that you want other people to understand, but when you try and get the words just are not adequate. That's what he's saying. Right on the interesting part. What, the sneeze, Angelica? What is the interesting part? "Upon my life," said Carton, smiling, "I find that easier to comprehend in my own mind than to convey to yours. However, let me try. Let me try and find the words to tell you what I want you to know about me. You remember a certain famous occasion when I was more drunk than usual? I remember a certain famous occasion when you forced me to confess that you had been drinking. I remember it too. The curse of those occasions is heavy upon me, for I always remember them. I hope it may be taken into account one day when all days are at an end for me. Don't be alarmed. I'm not going to preach." "I'm not at all alarmed. Earnestness in you is anything but alarming to me." "Ah," said Carton, with a careless wave of his hand, as if he had waved that away. "On the drunken occasion in question, one of a large number, as you know, like I'm always drunk, I was insufferable about liking you and not liking you. I wish you would forget it." "I forgot it a long time ago." Fashion of speech again. But Mr. Darnay, oblivion is not so easy to me. As he represented it, he's like, "You're just being polite. Let's talk real. I have by no means forgotten it, and a light answer does not help me to forget it." "If it was a light answer," returned Darnay, "I beg your forgiveness for it. I had no other object than to turn a slight thing, which, to my surprise, seems to trouble you too much, aside. I declare to you on the faith of a gentleman that I have long dismissed it from my mind. I'm not just talking, I'm not just blowing smoke. I really didn't think about it anymore." "Good heaven, what was there to dismiss? Have I had nothing more important to remember in the great service you rendered me that day? Like, you represented me and saved my life. How am I going to hold one drunken conversation against you?" "As to the great service," said Carton, "I am bound to avow to you, when you speak of it in that way, that it were mere professional claptrap. I don't know that I cared what became of you when I rendered it. Mind, I say when I rendered it. I'm speaking of the past." So he said, "I was just doing my job. I didn't really care what happened to you, but now maybe I do care. You make light of the obligation, returned Darnay, but I will not quarrel with your light answer. Genuine truth, Mr. Darnay, trust me. I have gone aside from my purpose. I was speaking about our being friends. Now, you know me. You know I'm incapable of all the higher and better flights of men. If you doubt it, ask Stryver, and he'll tell you so. He still self-depreciates. He still is like, I'm not a good guy. Stryver, he doesn't feel like he has anything to offer the world. He's let the world down. Is he an alcoholic, which makes him bad? Or is self-esteem what makes him the alcoholic? It's that catch-22 that we don't really know. So we're going to look at the definition, much like we do in Frankenstein, of what makes someone honorable, what makes someone a good person, and what makes someone a monster. I prefer to form my own opinion without the aid of his, Darnay says. Well, at any rate, you know me as a dissolute dog who has never done any good and never will. I don't know that you never will, but I do, and you must take my word for it. Well, if you could endure to have such a worthless fellow and a fellow of such indifferent reputation coming and going at odd times, I should ask that I might be permitted to come and go as a privileged person here, that I might be regarded as useless, and I would add, if it were not for the resemblance I detected between you and me, an unornamental piece of furniture tolerated for its old service and taken no notice of. I doubt if I should abuse the permission. It is 100 to 1. I should avail myself of it 4 times a year. It would satisfy me, I dare say, to know that I had it. He wants to know that I have the right to come and go in the family as I choose and not have to wait for an invitation, but to just show up, not to be formal. And he reminds us, and this is really important, he reminds us of how much they look alike. He would have said, I'm ugly, but I don't want to say I'm ugly because you and I look so much alike. But he's asking permission for this freedom of relationship of like family that will be between them. Will you try? That is another way of saying that I am placed on the footing I have indicated. I thank you, Darnay. I may use that freedom with your name. I think so, Carton, by this time. There's so many formalities in this time period that we don't have. Like, we don't think it's weird. The only time it's kind of funny is if I was your teacher and now I see you as an adult. You're in your 20s now and you see me on the street, you would still call me Mrs. So-and-so, where in reality, I would say, just call me Rachel. I mean, that's the conversation they're having is call me by my first name. But in that time, that formality was a big deal. They shook hands upon it and Sidney turned away. Within a minute afterwards, he was, to all outward appearance, as unsubstantial as ever. When he was gone, and in the course of an evening passed with Miss Pross, the doctor, and Mr. Lorry, Charles Darnay made some mention of this conversation in general terms and spoke of Sidney Carton as a problem of carelessness and recklessness. He spoke of him, in short, not bitterly or not meaning to bear hard upon him, but as anybody might who saw him as he showed himself. He had no idea that this could dwell in the thoughts of his fair young wife, but when he afterwards joined her in their own room, he found her waiting for him with the old pretty lifting of the forehead strongly marked. You were thoughtful tonight, like you were preoccupied tonight, said Darnay, drawing his arm around her. So we see in the privacy of their room, they've got a sweet relationship. There's an intimacy between them, which I point out because in the day, and we know that from Pride and Prejudice, if you read that along with me, marriage at this time wasn't necessarily an intimate thing. It wasn't necessarily a best friend thing. It could have just been a marriage of arrangement, a marriage to have children, that marriage was a social position. It wasn't necessarily indicative of an intimate relationship. So that little hand around the waist when they're alone in private tells us that they've got a close relationship. Yes, dearest Charles, with her hand on his breast and the inquiring, attentive expression fixed upon him. We are rather thoughtful tonight, for we have something on our mind tonight. What is it, my Lucy? Will you promise not to press one question on me if I beg you not to ask it? And she's saying, I want to talk about something, but don't push me on it. Will I promise? What will I not promise to my love? What indeed, with his hand putting aside the golden hair from the cheek and his other hand against the heart that beat for him. I think Charles, poor Mr. Carton deserves more consideration and respect than you expressed for him tonight. Indeed, my own? Why so? She's like, I think you should be nicer to Sidney Carton. That is what you are not to ask me, but I know He does. He does deserve to be treated better. I would ask you, dearest, to be very generous with him always and very lenient on his faults when he is not by. I would ask you to believe that he has a heart he very, very seldom reveals and that they are deep wounds in it. My dear, I have seen it bleeding. So she remembers that Sydney came to her and wanted to ask to marry her, but he said, I don't deserve to. I'm not good enough for you and I never can be. So she's got a tender spot for him. She's not in love with him. She's in love with Charles Darnay, but because of that vulnerability he showed her, she's asking her husband, don't be jealous, don't be protective, be kind to him. He needs a friend. So we're seeing a very important relationship forging between the three of them that will become significant later in the story. So don't just overlook this. It is a painful reflection to me, said Charles Darnay, quite astounded, that I should have done him any wrong. I never thought this of him. My husband, it is so. I fear he is not to be reclaimed. There is scarcely a hope that anything in his character or fortunes is reparable now, but I am sure that he is capable of good things, gentle things, even magnanimous things, very big giving things. She looked so beautiful in the purity of her faith in this lost man that her husband, there's this sense that she has of seeing the good in everyone. And Lucy is a very romantic character in that sense, that there's that intuition, that sense of feeling that triumphs over reason and logic. Reason and logic would tell us that he is beyond help. And she even articulates that he is beyond help. He is a broken man we can't salvage him. Yet there's something in him, in his humanity, in his love, in his character that is valuable. His existence as a human is valuable. Very romantic ideals in those statements. So if you're an AP student and you're doing romantic literature or this time period Victorian literature, those are some of those characteristics that we see outlined here, that despite reason, her intuition tells her this is a good man. We should believe in him. And she looks so beautiful in her purity of face. So we honor that. The author is showing us that's a characteristic to be valued. And oh, my dearest love, she urged, clinging nearer to him, laying her head upon his breast and raising her eyes to his, remember how strong we are in our happiness and how weak he is in his misery. So we have each other. We love each other. Let's be kind to him because he has a hard life. The supplication touched him. That supplication is like asking for something, kind of begging for something. I will always remember it, dear heart. I will remember it as long as I live. He bent over the golden head and put the rosy lips to his and folded her in his arms. If one forlorn wanderer, then pacing the dark streets, could have heard her innocent disclosure and could have seen the drops of pity kissed away by her husband from the soft blue eyes so loving of that husband, he might have cried to the night, and the words would not have parted from his lips for the first time. God bless her for her sweet compassion. So once again, we see what a good character Lucy is. And because I want the playlist, even though this has only been 13 minutes, because I want the playlist to be in order, I'm going to stop and I'll probably take a break, but I may read again today, chapter 22, because I already have 22 recorded here. And one of the things I was going to tell y'all, just a silly side, and Camille, I see you have joined us. Let's see what you got to say today. Back from work, saw on Discord that I'm reading, and it was fun. I went to see friends. I've been working. I've been doing things with family. I've been lazy, and I got a PlayStation Switch. Yeah. And I have Animal Crossing, y'all. It's consuming me. That's why I'm not reading. You probably need to come to my house and break that thing, because we're never going to get Tale of Two Cities read. I'm the terrible mother who has to eat her words, where I would yell at my boys for all the time they play on gaming. And now I'm just sucked into the Animal Crossing world. I think I'll just do one little activity. And then the next thing I know, 2 or 3 hours have passed by. So here I am, this very mature adult woman, and I'm sucked into playing Animal Crossing, which is really pointless, but I'm just like trying to get my garden to grow and make my little island look good and see what's next. And I keep thinking, this is like real life. I have to have a budget. I have to pay my mortgage. I have to take care of the house. I have to go out and work. I'm terrible at fishing, Dinah. I see that your daughter loves Animal Crossing. And I may be coming on Discord and asking you hints of things that I can't figure out. My sons play, and so we're supposed to start playing together. We haven't done that yet. I told them, give me some time to, Camille, it really is, right? A YouTuber I love, her name is Schultze. She's a mom, and I don't know why I follow her. She's young. There's not anything that is particularly cogent for me for her, but she's who got me started on Animal Crossing because she talks about it all the time. So shout out to Schultze. Yes, I am laughing at myself, and I'm having to learn, like I forget how to save and I forget how to do things. I can't find iron, Dinah. It says break the rocks, but I just keep getting bells instead of iron. Clara and the Sun. All right. Dinah, we don't actually read books in our book club. It's a misnomer. We should call it Lit History Club, Lit History Discussion Club. We have topics and we try and pull either short stories that support the topic, or we do TED Talks or history lessons on YouTube. And then we have topics that we review. So we've been looking at Syria. We've been looking at Israel. We've been looking at the value of monogamy. We've been looking at the impact of artificial intelligence in our life. We've been looking at politics, vaccination versus non-vaccination, alien beings, spaceships. Those are the kinds of things. So we started calling it book club because in the beginning we were going to read, but most of us didn't get the book read because we meet every week. So my dad can get a book read in a couple of days, but the rest of us just don't put to it. So, but it's really fun. And we've been doing it since 2017, every Wednesday, very consistent. We didn't have it this week because my dad's out of town right now. So, but Animal Crossing, if you guys haven't already found it, send me tips on how to find iron because I just can't figure it out. Clara and the Sun. Well, apparently she has because she's an artificial friend. Well, Dinah, I have such a list of books I need to read, and I don't know how you get so many books read. I follow you on Instagram, and you just really are an avid reader. I mean, absolutely avid reader. There's another book they told me about when I was with my friends. It's The Invisible Lives. Remember, I'm doing the 7.5 lives. I'm still enjoying it, but I'm not very far in it. But she's doing The Invisible Life of, and I don't know, but it's this time traveler concept, kind of like 7.5 lives, but it's really interesting. And I want to get that too. I mean, I've just got so many books on my list. I need to finish this for us and then 1984. And I'm just too lazy to get it all done. Hazel, it's your favorite book this year. And Camille, she reads a lot. So for her to say that says a lot. And somebody, Fortunata. Oh, Dinah, you're talking about the Invisible. That one is really good. Yeah, 1984 is going to be next. I need to order the book. But y'all, we still have so far to go. Look, where are we in this one? We have this much more to go in the book. So we're more than halfway. But I just got behind. I'm off tomorrow, so I will I'll probably read 22. Let's see how long 22 is. I'll probably read 22 today and then read tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow. All right. I need some water. I need to make some phone calls. I may go out to some friends this afternoon. I miss you guys. It's so good to see the chat. And I love that you guys are such strong readers. And I got an interesting message in Instagram. And this person made something for me, but when I click on it, it doesn't take me to anything but a Walmart survey. So if it's any of you guys that are James, tell me how I can see whatever it is that you sent me. And Dinah, remember you asked me about my address. If you ever sent anything, I never got anything. I need to check the mailbox again, but the last time I checked, there was nothing. So I don't know why. That made me think about it. Oh, he's just writing back and saying, don't open it because he got hacked. Dang. I was worried about that. In 8 p.m. in the UK, and what's your Insta? I haven't followed. It's just Best Tutor Friend, Camille. 2:03 in the afternoon. I'm Central Are we on daylight savings time now? I don't know. Central Standard Time, I think. I'm Chicago time. It's the same as Chicago. I have not been, I've just kind of taken a break, Hazel, and I don't know why, because of Animal Crossing. It really is because of Animal Crossing. And I'm watching on Netflix my Unorthodox Life, and I just think it's so interesting. I had a period of time in my life that I was very much a fundamentalist Christian, and it's very, very interesting to me to see it. So I got kind of down a rabbit hole, if you will, and haven't been on here reading too much. So I will try and do a better job because I really want to get Tale of Two Cities done, and I really want to get 1984 in, and I'm getting requests for other things like Romeo and Juliet. I want to do Odyssey. And then Dinah just keeps coming up with great books that I want to read. Not enough time, not enough discipline. That's what my t-shirt needs to say. Not enough time, not enough discipline, ? Because is it the time or is it the discipline? It might be both. Invisible 2, I was really living under a rock because it was really good. That's a movie? Well, maybe I'll just watch the movie. Is it? Okay. I'll have to look into that. Y'all are always so helpful. I appreciate it. All right. So that's 21 minutes is a short one. And half of that's been talking. I'm so glad. Oh, Invincible, the show. I didn't love, on a totally different show, I didn't love Loki. I really loved WandaVision. Loved WandaVision. Didn't love Loki. I only watched 2 episodes. Just didn't get pulled into it. So you guys should tell me I'm way too old to be doing all these teen culture things, but Animal Farm, I'm hooked. What can I say? So if you have some good games that are just mindless and you never want me to read again, keep sending me, because I do have a PlayStation Switch now. And my youngest son, who's really good at it, came and set up my account. So I don't even know what I can do with that. He's got to have another session with me that shows me the Loki comment. I know, I'm so sorry. I don't know the Marvel characters well enough, I think, to really understand. I mean, I've seen all the movies, but it goes fast and I get lost. I need somebody who's like sitting there kind of giving me a play-by-play in my ear, like a director's cut edition where they're explaining things as I go. I could just get a little bit lost. I'll give it another shot just for you, Camille. So I love Iron Man. If it had been about Iron Man, I would have been crazy about it. And I like Loki. Loki is a character I really like, but it's a little dark for me. And those of you that have followed me very long know I love happy ever after type things. But I thought WandaVision was so creative and so interesting. I mean, it hooked me immediately. And I'm just not there with Loki. So maybe I need to give it another shot, another episode. I also watched Never Have I Ever, and I really enjoyed that. As a high school teacher, a former high school teacher, it was kind of a different point of view. We never get to hear from the normal kids that are kind of the odd man out. I mean, that was me, the misfits of school. And just to see how human they are and they want the same things. And I don't want to be a spoiler, but I kind of didn't like the turn of how it ended, or how it's ended so far. If there's going to be a season 4, I don't know. I do need to get the list of never-ending books read. You're right. So if I were a true Libra, I'd find the balance to be able to do both, to read and to go live and to play games and to watch TV. I would be a better budgeter of time, but I'm a procrastinator. So all right, guys, it's always so good to talk to you. It cheers up my day. I think I went out with a family, one of my daughters and a really great family member. She's like, a friend, but she's like a family member. We did lunch together. And then I think I'm going to go catch up with some other friends of mine this afternoon. So I'll take a break and then I'll tell on Discord if I'm coming back to do another live read. You guys are amazing. You always make me feel better. I appreciate you. Keep reading. Summer is almost over and school is about to start. And I will read to you next time. See ya.